Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to replace the water pump, the upper and lower radiator hoses, the thermostat, coolant, a bunch of things in a W210 Mercedes Benz M112 engine, 2001 E320. This concept applies to pretty much all the M112 engines, as well as M113, really. So you don't need necessarily, if you have ramps, jack and jack stands, good. It makes it easier. But if you don't need them. You just need to remove the very first from the front of the car, lower panel, engine shield or panel. And you can do that without lifting the car. And you want to remove, once you remove this cover, leave it off until the very end of the job, after you've put in the new coolant and you've driven it for a while, and you want to come back and check for leaks from underneath. And only then replace the covers. You need a large catch pan. And if you have a hose to connect it to the spot, fine. If not, it will just drain down below. And with a large flat-headed screwdriver, open the drain and let it drain out. You can also open the coolant reservoir cap. Just loosen it and leave it there, but just loosen it and open it so that the air pressure increases the flow of the coolant down below. And while you're here, the next thing to do down below is to remove the clamp. I'm using all the clamps, the old clamps. You can get new clamps if you wish. I'm replacing both the upper and lower radiator hoses. This is the bottom one. I suggest you replace these every 80 to 100,000 miles. And with the help of a driver, you'll have to just move it left and right and up and down and twist it and turn it until it comes out. Make sure you have a catch pan ready to collect the coolant. So whatever wasn't drained out will come out of there. There will still be some coolant left in the engine. I'm not flushing the coolant, by the way, just replacing it. So this is the water pump pulley for 10mm bolts. You need metric E and T sockets. Anytime you work on Mercedes Benz cars, you'll need those. This is the tensioner. There are two types of these. One of them opens like this. The other one, there's a 17mm bolt or nut underneath the tensioner as part of the tensioner that you would have to connect to with a bar and turn to left in order to remove or loosen first the serpentine or the drive belt. Now, if you don't have it, it really helps to have an air gun or electric ratchet of some sort. If you have that, then you can open those 4 bolts, loosen them, even if the belt is off. But otherwise, keep the belt on first and loosen those bolts. So this is the idler pulley. Using the new water pump, draw an outline and go through the holes of it and mark each of them so that it makes it tremendously easy as you take the bolts out, place them exactly in your drawing on a box or cardboard in the exact same spot. And because there's just so many of them, I lost count, so I can't really tell you how many. There are 3 different sizes of inverse E bolts. I mean, you'll need inverse E sockets, 3 different types to remove these bolts. I think E10, E12, and the one that connects to the alternator is E14, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you know that you keep track of the different sizes, because the torque values are different for each, and I'll be sure to put the torque values for each of them in the video and also in the description. So besides the 2 large hoses, this is one more that connects to the water pump. The upper one connects to the thermostat, the lower radiator hose, as well as this hose that kind of goes to the climate system, connects to the water pump. Now, why replace the water pump? And when replace it, definitely every, again, 80 to 100,000 miles. If you don't, you risk destroying your engine, seriously, because if it doesn't, because the internals of the water pump could fly off and cause damage and debris to go inside the engine. That's one. But also, if that doesn't happen and the water pump doesn't work, then it will not be able to cool the engine off. And by the time you figure it out and pay attention to it, it could already do damage to your to the heads, to the gaskets and whatnot inside the engine. And so make sure that you replace the water pump as I would say, start paying attention around 70,000, planning it around 70,000 miles from the last time the water pump was replaced. The brand that I'm using is original equipment for these cars. It's a very good water pump, and it is not very expensive either. You can get all of these from either Autohaus AZ, they're not sponsors of this video, or FCP Euro. I think Autohaus AZ now, in order to compete with FCP Euro, offers 2 or 3 year warranties on parts that you purchase from them. FCP Euro, however, they warranty everything you buy from them, including maintenance parts, for life. So I'm switching sockets to get the larger of their I think 3 or 4 of the larger E12 sockets, and they're longer too. It helps to have a helper with this job. There are some a couple of tight places. Somebody, if you have a daughter or somebody with smaller hands, there are a couple of places that it would help if you have somebody to help them get to. Otherwise, I mean, it's still very doable. Now, I would say plan an entire day to do this job, especially if you're doing it the first time. To give you an idea, it took me 6 hours, including recording it. I'm not recording. My daughter's recording it, but you have to stop and make sure that the angle of recording is correct and that everything is being recorded, and you have to have multiple takes and things of that nature. So easily it added about 2.5 hours to the work. So it would have taken me probably 3.5, 4 hours without recording it. Simply because there are so many bolts, removing each and then putting them back in, as well as torquing each one. And when you torque them in some order, and make sure you torque them all, and then go all the way around one more time and torque them all second time, just to make sure that they're all torqued, also that you haven't missed any of them. And that's when this graphic becomes crucial to have, because then you can, as you torque them, you can check mark your drawing as you go around to make sure that you actually have indeed torqued them all or put them all in the first place. You will need a light, a bright light. And also don't be so the good thing is you have the new water pump, and so you can go by that, but you can also use your cell phone to go down below to look at the bolts, at the configuration of the pump, where you cannot easily see, as well as later on to look for leaks. So done with the bolts. There's a clamp that is holding this this hose attached to the pump. Release that, and then remove the hose. Helps to have picks or a flat-headed screwdriver. As you're twisting and turning and pulling, you can press with the screwdriver. I'm not disconnecting the lower radiator hose from the water pump, only from the bottom of the radiator, but this one you have to undo. Simply because I'm not replacing it, but if you are replacing it, you can probably disconnect it from the other side. And I'm reusing the clamp, so I'm taking it out of it. And then make sure you compare your new hoses, the new water pump, the new thermostat, everything that you replace new to old, to ensure that you have purchased the correct parts. And I would also attach this hose in the same direction to the new pump. This is the gasket from Mercedes Benz. I'm not showing cleaning all the channels and the touch points on the engine side, so make sure you do that. Use some paper towels or shop towels to make sure nothing gets inside the engine, and then give it a good cleanup with using brake parts cleaner and towels. If it's really bad and dirty and gunky, then you could use a plastic razor blade. Nothing very abrasive. So also use, if you have some silicone spray, it would help to get the hoses back on, the new hoses onto the water pump. And when you do this, make sure it's in the same, that you have matched it to the old configuration in terms of the turns and twists and direction that the hose takes from the connection point on the water pump to the radiator, the bottom of the radiator. And then take two of the bolts on two ends of the water pump and run them through the gasket, the metal gasket. And connect the water pump to the engine. So at first, make sure you turn every single bolt a few turns so that they're not cross-threaded. And then you can use your air gun or electric gun to screw them in all the way. I shouldn't say all the way, until right, until right before, I guess, the torque value. So the point is, don't tighten them yet. Leave that for the torque wrench. So turn by hand first, then with the gun if you have it, and then torque. You see that bracket on top of my left hand? That is right above the MAP sensor, that manifold absolute pressure sensor. There are two places for two bolts to connect to the water pump. Those bolts don't go to the engine. This water pump, and I believe pretty much all of them, other than maybe the ones that you may buy from Mercedes Benz a lot more expensively will not have the corresponding threads in the water pump. So you'll need a tap and dice set, or as I do here, just by turning the bolt a few times and then turning them back out. Turn in and turn out to get the debris out, and basically create the threads inside. But if you have a tap and dice set, then it will be a lot easier. I think I broke one of the bolts, and I'm not taping that here, but and then I had to remove the bolt, and so anyways, just be careful. It really helps. That's the map sensor in the top right of the screen, right there above right now. Right there, I'm moving the sensor to the left. And you have to remove that bracket in order to get to a couple of bolts there. So the coolant that I'm using is the concentrate coolant, and that's the cheapest way to do this. You want to make sure that you have that you also purchase some distilled water. Don't use tap water, and mix it to 50-50. And you'll have some 50% mixed leftover at the end, which is nice to make the final adjustments, but some will be even left over. If you buy 2 gallons of the concentrate and basically come up with a total of 4 gallons of the mixed coolant, you'll be left with some for future. In case there are any leaks as part of your work. So here I'm check marking each bolt as it's being torqued. Now, in terms of difficulty of the job, if you have done any work with cars, if you've replaced, let's say, your oil and filter, you can do this. it's just a lot of busy work, as you can see. More than anything else, the crucial part of it is torquing all the bolts correctly so that you won't have a leak afterwards. The rest is really nuts and bolts. I mean, pretty much most of auto mechanic types of work is loosening and tightening nuts and bolts, opening parts and replacing parts. So it really you don't have to be a nuclear scientist to do auto mechanics type of work, especially if you have instructions, workshop manuals, and you can get those nowadays from eBay, from anywhere. You can buy them for cheap. You can buy the Wiz, the official Mercedes Benz workshop manual on DVDs, on I shouldn't say DVDs, as of May of 2025 on USB drives, and download them basically. You can pay for it, and they'll provide you with a download link that you can download to your USB or directly to your computer, install it, and use it. So with the water pump all in place, it's now time to replace the upper radiator hose. You don't have to do this if you're not replacing it. The other end of it is connecting to the thermostat, and I'm replacing that too. So why go through all of this and not replace the thermostat? It plays just as or even more of a crucial role in maintaining the temperature of the engine. So if you're taking the time to replace the water pump, this is the best time to replace the thermostat too. You'll notice that it's connected to the engine by 2 bolts only. There is a gasket there too. The thermostat that I'm recommending in the description comes with a new gasket. Just be sure that you remove the old gasket from the engine. If it doesn't come out as you remove the thermostat, there it is, the black gasket inside. Compare the hoses and the thermostat. As I said before, I'm reusing the clamps, so I'm taking it out. Make sure you don't damage or scratch anything. Remove the hose and give it a cleaning. Borg Warner is the brand I'm using. German company, OE for Mercedes Benz. This is the gasket. Make sure it's seated well. And voila, that's can't get any easier than that. cars are nowadays getting so complicated. Even this era of Mercedes Benz, and these cars are still more complex than in the older generations of Mercedes Benz cars, like the W123s, even W126. But nonetheless, it's still E320, W210. These cars have so much room to work on an engine, as you can see here. Front of the engine, sides of the engine. I love these cars for that reason. They're so easy to work on. The W220s are the same way. And then as soon as, I guess, right after the early 2000s, beginning with, I've mostly had S classes. I had the 300 SEL, W126 years back. And I used to work on that car, replace tons of parts on it. Very easy to work with, of course. A beautiful car. I'm thinking of getting one again. But starting with S-Class W221, then and later on, and these are the bolts that you'll need a tap and die set to create the threads. Anyway, so starting with W221 and then 222 became even more complex. I think 222 has no less than 80 computers, computer modules, and with the turbos, hardly any room to do anything on those very complex engines. So outside of all the computers, just the mechanical parts, absolutely no room for to let's say I'm removing the engine mounts on this W210. I'll have a video on that soon. Just a couple hours and the mounts are removed. On a W222, you would have to pretty much remove the entire engine, drop the engine in order to replace the mounts. Something that not everyone can do, and it would cost thousands of dollars to have somebody else do that for you. So, and so the rest of this job is pretty much done. I'll have a map of the build, how the build is routed in the video. So put your idler pulley back in. I don't think I'm showing that. There it is, the idler pulley. I'll have the torque value for you in the description. Route the drive build around all these pulleys and the compressor and the crankshaft. That's the crankshaft, the one that's the largest of the pulleys in the bottom. The one all the way to the right bottom is the compressor. The one on top of that on the right is the tensioner. That's the idler pulley there. This is the water pump pulley. And the one on all the way on the left is the alternator. And I may have to replace the brushes on on the alternator. If your alternator is not charging, don't replace it. I don't know if I'll have a video on that for either the W220 or W210 anytime soon, but you can purchase the what they call a regulator for the alternator. At least the Bosch ones are cheap, 11, 12 bucks. You can just replace that, and it comes with new brushes, carbon brushes, instead of replacing the entire alternator that could cost close to $300 even as of 2025. And with the threat of tariffs looming, all these parts could become expensive, regardless of where they are sourced, as long as they're outside of the country. So depending on the tariff negotiations, we'll see. German parts could become more expensive. Usually the ones that I use, parts that I use are made in European Union, Germany or other countries. I hardly buy any parts from China. So this is the coolant, Xerix, pre-mixed. You want to fill up the tank, then you'll see it kind of drop down. As you put more in, it will keep going down. Eventually it will stop going down, and that's when you turn on the engine, add some more, because as soon as you turn on the engine, some of it will go down, and then close the cap, and after that turn on the heater, go to the highest temperature, turn the blower to the highest scale, and have somebody press the accelerator pedal and go to 2000 RPM and kind of maintain it at that level. And you can then, with your assistant doing that, you can go and keep pressing the upper radiator hose, just like that. And let it go to temperature. Make sure you see the fan turn on at least once. The engine fan or radiator fan. So once you get to about above the 80 degrees, that's the temperature gauge on the very left. When you see it go to a little above 80, then you're at temp. And as you can see, the RPM on the right is at 2000. And keep it at that level. And then that's it. Check for leaks, put the bottom cover on. And I hope you found this video of use. If you did, like it. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.